A strong sense of style and an intriguing premise are undone by a film that never quite figured out how to write itself out of a corner. Welcome back to our channel, Film Overall. Here are some interesting reviews about Bloodline. Bloodline has a lot to like for about half of its running time, but never quite figured out how to stop the bleeding. It's heavily inspired by Jeff Lindsay's Dexter books, adapted into the Showtime hit series with Michael C. Hall, and bowing at the altar of Brian De Palma in terms of visuals. A character study devolves into a generic crime novel complete with an implausible final twist. Still, there is enough cinematic potential on display before that to make it worth a look for hardcore genre fans and those who know Sean William Scott is a better actor than his resume suggests. Evan, a counselor for at-risk teens who has a habit of enacting his own justice on the parents of the troubled kids he meets, is played by the star of American Pie and Goon. Evan meets with abused teenagers, pursues their abusers, ties them to chairs, interrogates them about their violence, and then slashes their throats. He thinks he's doing good in the world and is exorcising some demons he inherited from his abusive father. Of course, Evan's behavior does not allow for rehabilitation or forgiveness, and he never seems to consider that a detective might connect the dots if parents with children at the same school continue to go missing. Evan is pushed to the brink of insanity when his wife Lauren gives birth to a baby boy. The pitch for Bloodline could be how the stress of a new parenthood affects a serial killer's meticulous routines, which is a reasonably clever idea for a film. Serial killers are creatures of habit and ritual, and the arrival of a new baby throws all of their routines off kilter. It doesn't help that his mother Marie is visiting from out of town, though it's clear from the start that mom has some secrets of her own. Late in the film, a detective named Overstreet begins to investigate the case, threatening Evan's carefully constructed moral code and family unity. Henry Jacobson, the film's debut director, pays homage to his cinematic heroes a few times, most notably in some daring split-screen and diopter shots that would make De Palma proud, though even he might argue that the reflection in a knife trick is overused here. It's refreshing to see a low-budget film with this much visual flair, and I liked how Jacobson and his team used color and shadows throughout the film. It has a strong visual language that frequently compensates for the lack of narrative thrust. It will continue to do so until it can no longer. As part of the final act of Bloodline, Jacobson and co-writers Averfox Lerner and Will Hundley are required to introduce a new character and do things with their existing characters that I simply did not believe were possible. As we transition from Evan's tight point of view to Lauren and Overstreet's, the focus becomes more diffuse, and it begins to remind one of a compressed season of a show like Dexter in the process. It's possible that in that format, the final scenes of Bloodline could have been developed earlier in the season, but they appear out of nowhere here in a way that's almost impossible to comprehend. It seems to me that no one has ever quite figured out what we're supposed to think of Evan. Was he acting in the name of justice, or was he acting in the name of sociopathy? Or maybe it's a combination of both. Fortunately for Scott, he manages to straddle the line between the two, portraying Evan as a dedicated family man while also allowing an element of lunacy to creep into his eyes on occasion. It's a solid outing all around. That Bloodline is the kind of nefarious piece of cinematic work that I believe De Palma himself would enjoy, would no doubt please Jacobson, and not just because the film opens with an especially brutal shower slaying that feels inspired by Dress to Kill, and thus also by Psycho, of course. Even more concerning, De Palma's films have a history of not quite coming together as cohesive wholes, particularly over the last 2 decades or so. To think of the title as referring to that lineage more than anything else in the film, the cinematic bloodline of a creator all the way down to a filmmaker whom he has clearly inspired, is almost amusing. And with that being said, it's time to end our video. Are you going to watch Bloodline? Let us know in the comments. Like this video and subscribe to the channel for more amazing videos like this. We'll see you in the next video.